Thank you very much, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, and children too, for sharing your Sunday with us here. Our chief guest does not require introduction, but I have to do my duty. It's Shri Sanjay Lalbhai, Chairman and Managing Director, Arvind Limited. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us. Each of you must be thinking that we are here for the book launch, and only for the book launch of Only One Life to Give by Wing Commander Arun Kaul, but that's actually just 50% of the reason that we are here. The real reason is that we are here to create and strengthen, expand a circle of influence, a certain circle of trust that comes out of doing good deeds, sharing our goodness with the others. And that is what we are here for. That is what this book is about. But why should we do any of this good acts or do good to the others? It's actually for a very selfish reason. The reason is that it gives us more peace, it gives us greater happiness, and we create a better world for ourselves today and also for our children tomorrow. That is the reason that Sir has written this book, Commander Kaul has written this book about the goodness that individuals are doing. And that's what the book talks to us about. People, there are people the stories are about people in this book, people like us, who have the goodness in them, just as each one of us has that goodness in us. But they have gone a few steps further and shared that goodness with others and created trust in the lives of others around them. We live in a better world because of people like these, and that is why we are here today, to learn more about these people. So now I'd want Commander Kaul to speak about how the book came about and what is in the book really.
Sanjay Bhai sir, ladies and gentlemen and friends, thank you for being here, and thank you for being here to encourage today, encourage me, because I'm starting a very new innings. This virtually is my third inning. The first two, as you're aware, I served 20 years with the Indian Air Force, sought premature release, and then worked in the private sector for another decade. So two dreams or two pursuits were chasing career, but this final one, which is chasing my own passion and my own dream. And I'm lucky that I've had the patronage of Sanjay Lalbhai for two of my innings. And that augurs well, because I really enjoyed myself in my stint with Arvind. And I hope with his good wishes and patronage, this innings are as fulfilling. I sought out and I thought I'll have another innings outside writing. It didn't happen immediately. And that is when I realized that it was almost as if I was raised on mineral water. The moment I tasted waters outside, I realized the world is totally different. Arvind and the Air Force, they were not organizations, they are institutions. And my horoscope must be just about right to have 30 years of my working life spent in these two environments. And the moment I came out, there was a series of things which happened which disappointed me totally, and I was left wondering. I mean, even an environment was there which was totally antithesis of what I believed in or what I had seen, both at Arvind and the Air Force. And I started wondering whether things have changed, whether it is irrelevant to, I mean, is it a dinosaur that, is it extinct? The humanity, the goodness, the values, the trust which we have. And virtually, I came across an environment where they wouldn't want to work in a team. I thought we should work in a team. People were pitched once against the other, and silos were created to keep them apart. That was just contrary to what I believed in, what I had seen. And I actually got cynicism into me. I was left wondering whether things have they gone so bad. And of course, the macro environment, I mean, the whole scams and what you have in terms of desensitivity towards women, etc. I mean, I suddenly realized that everything around me seems to be bad, and almost within me, I was not stable, I was not balanced. And that is when I started introspection, and I reviewed my whole life during that period. And I found that right through my journey of those 30 years in these two institutions, there were people who stood out like beacons, people who extended themselves, helped others, sacrificed their bit, and created that trust and bonding between people. And that is when I penned the first story, sir. And then, of course, it happened, and I said, let me compile a book and let me see whether I can do something rather than just being an armchair critic or a cynic. The fact that I did introspection, I penned this down, my balance got restored. I was back to my normal self. And then I said, let me see if I can extend this circle of influence across. Maybe it's a small effort, maybe it's just one step, but maybe it can create a larger influence, and maybe there's a bit of change. I had read a poet called Walt Whitman, and what he said in one of the lines was, even if you leave this world, by leaving it behind, planted with one extra tree, you have done your work. So this book, I thought, would be that work of mine. My book is in 4 segments. The first, of course, outlines 4 stories from the Indian Air Force. Again, it will tell you how honorable it is. Then there's a segment which is on my own family. And then there's a segment on friends and their relatives, where stories where people have done exceptional things. And the last segment is about women. 3 women, tenacity, sacrifice, and how much they do. So this is the sum total of the book, and I'm here just to hope that the circle of influence gets the right impetus and moves on and enlarges a larger society.
I request to Shri Sanjay Lalbhai to release the book and then to share his views about the book with us.
Good morning, friends. This is pretty loud. Well, a few months back when a commander came and told me that you will have to release my book, I didn't know what to expect. I have known Commander for many years, almost 16 to 17 years, worked with him for 10 years. I never realized that he can end up writing a book. So I was pretty skeptical. I said, well, but I like him very much. We've had a wonderful innings together, so I can't say no. Finally, the book came, and it took me a while to read it. And when I went through the first chapter, and it touched my heart. Wonderful book. I should congratulate you. And I'm sure that when you will go through it, you will realize that it's written with heart. It's a wonderful book on values and qualities which we all should imbibe. And the way the stories have been told is absolutely wonderful. Today, if we look at our society, we have become extremely materialistic. I think once you have money, you have fame, you have power, I think you are respected. Very unfortunate, but true. Even if you have violated all the legal system of a country, you may be a criminal, you may have gone to a jail, but still you are respected because you have money, you have power, you have fame. It is very unfortunate that must be here friends also from media, and I have been interviewed number of times. They want to know as to what are the cars you own, which are the watches you would buy, which are the luxury cruise you have taken, which are the luxury vacations you have been going for. The kind of questions, you know. And finally you say that, you know, I care about simple things in life, about gardening, about reading a book, about listening to music, playing with my dogs, and, you know, pursuing spirituality. And then they say, okay, spirituality, what is it all about? So you spend half an hour talking about spirituality. And when the article comes, there is hardly any mention of any of those things. And all that they write about is your material success, about how much, whether you rank 14th or 15th or 20th in the rank of how much wealth you have amassed. So all that people, and when I ask them that why do you do this, then they say that that's what people want to read. And I tell them that that's absolutely wrong. You're failing in your responsibility of conveying the right values about the right things in life. If you again see that, you know, one of the problems, and I've been wondering that why do we give so much emphasis to money and power? And I personally feel that, you know, people equate happiness with acquiring things, about vacationing in the best places, about, you know, taking the best cruise, and of acquiring assets and cars and, you know, various things which you can buy with money. And I think that's one of the reasons why people go for, you know, whenever I ask people that we have been partying all night, and that's great fun, you know. I've never heard anyone talking about simple things in life anymore. Either you are on the social media, or you have no time, you know, you go to restaurants and people are not talking to each other. They are on their mobiles talking to their, you know, friends far away. I mean, this is ridiculous, you know. I think all the simple things, all the things which matter and can give you lasting happiness, we are going completely away from this. And I think this book has come out at the right time, because when I read this book, I said this is almost answering some of the major issues which is impacting our society as of now. You know, we have just lost the ability to have simple pleasures. We have lost the ability to look at values and systems and qualities which are everlasting. If we really see that, you know, I don't think these values of integrity, honesty, simplicity, compassion are ageless. And I have seen that every great human being who's being remembered, you know, there are people who are remembered for a generation, or they've amassed too much wealth and they are in the news media and they all believe that they've achieved the pinnacle in their life. But if you remember people over generations, those are the people who lived by values. People who have those qualities like a Gandhiji, you know, those kind of individuals who lived by these values, who lived by these qualities. And this is the book. I think this is really, I was very happy to see that Commander has the courage to write a book which talks about these values. And every story is a real life story. And it talks about simple, ordinary people like all of us, but who have lived life by these values, by these qualities, and who have made a difference. They've made a difference to their family, they've made a difference to their neighborhood, they've made a difference to their friend circle, or they have made a difference to their city. But each story is talking about people living by values, people having these kind of qualities of simplicity, compassion, you know, honesty, and by those virtues, by those qualities, they have made a little difference. They may not have been on the first page of Times of India, but how does it matter? They have been in the hearts of the people who matter. They'll be remembered for generations. Those people who they have influenced, those people they have touched their hearts, they will remember them for years. And I think that is what matters. The major theme, if you see in this book, is about giving. And my Guruji says that it's very easy to give money, because all of us can give money. We all can save up a little bit, and certain part of our money can be given for good cause. But that's the easier part. I think by giving yourself your God-given qualities, if you can influence individuals, if you can help people who need your help, and if you can change their, ability to earn or change their ability to generate a livelihood for themselves, then that's real giving. If you can build institutions, if you can provide education, if you can provide healthcare, if you can make people self-sufficient, and if you can give your time rather than money, then I think that's a superior giving. Every great human being gives his time. He gives his God-given abilities, not only money. Money can be given by anyone. And many a times also it saddens me to see that money is given for prestige. You want your nameplate there. You are again, it's not with a whole feeling of helping or reaching out to someone. It is again to gain prestige. It is to get mileage in the society. And many a times people come and tell me that, why are you not on name? Why are you not going on various platforms talking about your charity? And I said that charity is not done because of or seeking prestige. Charity is done because you want to reach out to another human being. And my Guruji says that if you reach out and help another human being, you are not human. That's the least you can do as a human being. The other thing we have learned, my father says that a certain amount of your money, or whatever you earn, maybe any amount at all, should be kept aside for charity. And again, I'll give you an example that when I go and talk about that we have achieved this, or we have grown by 25%, or we have acquired this brand, or we have done this, he listens to it. He listens patiently. He is happy that you're doing well, you're commercially successful. But then his next question is, when is the hospital coming up? When is your charitable school coming up? And I want to see the plans. Those are the questions which are asked. And the maximum pleasure is achieved by asking these questions, looking at as to how you give yourself rather than achieve monetary and material success. So these are the values. And if you really look at my grandfather's life, how many lives he must have touched. He has built institutions which have changed the lives of many, correct? And again, giving is not because of prestige. Giving is part of you. Giving or helping out is just a natural thing for you. So these are the kind of qualities which we have imbibed and which are being talked about in this book. So I would say that I'm very happy that this book has been written, and I think it will be a very valuable book for the new generation. For many people who influence the society, I think one should understand that what are the kind of values and qualities we should be talking about. Who should we admire? Who should be our role model? Can our role model be people with money and prestige, money and power? Or can our role model be people who are reaching out and in the smallest way, extending themselves to be useful to the society or their friends or their neighborhood? So with this, I would say that this book, I wish it all the best. I wish Commander all the best. And I'm sure that after having read this book, I have no doubt at all that he is going to have a magnificent innings, his third innings.
I request Geetanjali, Commander Kaul's daughter, to read a very small incident from the book.
Thank you, Madhuri. Many years the monsoons were not kind, and with each failed monsoon they were left with nothing to pledge and had failed to raise a loan. So they started selling their land and became bonded for life. A handful managed to free themselves from the clutches of the loan banyas. To the rest, freedom was possible only through suicide or death. This weighed heavily on Kaka's conscience. Kaka created a corpus out of his pension benefits and life savings. When Patel Bapu looked at me, a smile lit up his face. Kaka came up with a unique way to give them a loan from his own money. These were people with nothing to pledge. but each of them had an item that was of emotional value. He paused to see if I understood. I smiled and nodded. Farmers had to pledge an item or a memory with emotional value that far outweighed its monetary value. When Kuraji came, he carefully unfolded the turban that wrapped his household deity, the large Ganesha, passed on over generations. He was pledging that. Mulji bought the only photograph of his parents. No one would hold money more carefully than they held these precious articles. Your father understood the true value. Just as we wrap a religious item in red cloth, he wrapped each one of these with great care and placed them safely in the bank locker. Patel Bapa cleared his throat and continued. No interest was charged, no time limit for repayment. But there were more timely repayments of Kaka's loan than the cooperative ones. Thank you.
I needed to acknowledge certain people because this book has come about also because of them. I would like to acknowledge Miss Madhuri's contribution. She has been my mentor and guide, and this book would not have come out if not for her. I would like to mention the first hurdle is at home, and if you pass that, then you know that at least, some quota, you will get a seat in that quota. My wife Indra and my daughter Gitanjali, they were the first ones to read the manuscript and say, okay, go ahead. So that support was very valuable. I must acknowledge, I don't know whether Raksha is here today, but Raksha Baradia, she's an author herself. She got my first story published, so that did give me some bit of confidence. So it's like the toddler taking its first step being helped. And I would like to acknowledge Raksha. She may not be here. Thanks to her too. I'm not belittling anything, but packaging and how you put the book forward is very, very important these days. The book has been designed, the cover designed others by Mr. Samrat Soam and Mr. Arpit. They are here. If you could kindly raise your hands. And it is just not packaging. The whole design has got meaning. I talked of circle of influence, and you can see it there. I talked of 4 segments, and you can see the 4 segments there, and you can see the Air Force color scheme in one of the segments. So the cover design, and I must acknowledge both these gentlemen. Thanks to them too. Well, I would like to thank Mr. Praveen Patel, and would you please stand? I'll give you the reason why. He runs a school called Sakar Public School, sir, and I've been going there speaking to the students once in a while. And for the first few stories, I gave it to him, and he was so concerned about seeing that it translates into some bit of change in the school that he gave me my first written order without the book being complete of 100 books. I'd like to acknowledge not just the commercial bit, but the confidence and the intent of actually starting that circle of influence. I would acknowledge Pallavi. I'm still old-fashioned and I do write the manuscript in hand, so her help in keying everything. And thanks to all of you, because all of you have made spent time with me during my lifespan, and all of you have impacted. If not for trust and friendship, all of you would have spent time at home today on a Sunday. So thank you, everybody.